Steve Kim for UCN, and I'm joined by the president of HBO Sports, Ken Hershman. Ken, you're now back with this guy right here, Canelo Alvarez. Yes, very simple question here. How momentous of a day is this for HBO Sports?
I think it's a big day, and it's an exciting day. You know, we've been working a long time to, develop our brand and our platform in this space. And, we're finding fighters that fit that ethic and that brand. That's our goal. And we think Canelo fits perfectly. He's young. He's got a great style. He's got an amazing fan base. He's willing to fight any and all comers. And he's willing to fight on pay-per-view and on HBO. And so it's the right combination, it's the right time, and it's a historic day for us.
I'm assuming you're not going to tell me the specific parameters of the deal, but is it safe to say it is a multi-year deal that will see him, as you said, on both HBO and
pay-per-view?
I
think that's the case. It's going to be a long-term deal, and I hope that we have Canelo for his entire career. That's the objective here, and that's what we're going to set out to do.
This process of reconciling, rebuilding the bridge with Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotion, was this particular deal a continuum of the Bernard Hopkins fight with Kovalev, or was it a separate entity?
No, I think it's fair to say it's just a continuing conversation. It's an evolution of where we're going and where they're going and how we can be on the same page. And we recognize, and I think Oscar and his team recognize, you're not always going to be on the same page, but as long as you share common ground enough, there's exciting things to do. They have a great philosophy about fights, about fighters, about how to work with them. And, we think right now it syncs up really well with how we look at the world, and it's an exciting chapter.
In relationship to Saul Alvarez specifically, when did these talks begin with Oscar De La Hoya?
It was an outgrowth of the Hopkins conversations and just sort of reestablishing our communication. And that was the most important thing. Just got to talk and figure out where people's objectives are, what they want. And things are fairly simple in boxing if you just keep it as, do we share a vision? Can we get common ground, and can we work together? And then things happen pretty quickly.
I find this interesting. Golden Boy still is in business with one Al Heyman. His fighters, for the most part, are ensconced at Showtime. Have there been discussions with Golden Boy about bringing over the likes of, let's say, Deontay Wilder, Keith Thurman, or Adrian Broner to your network?
Yeah, I think the way to answer that is, what we always say, which is as long as we feel comfortable that we can invest in put our resources behind fighters that we can ultimately get a return from and continue to work with and please our subscribers, we're open to anything. We don't foreclose anything, and it's just, you got to just have constant communication on that front. And so we'll see. Right now, we're just focused today on announcing Canelo. And, we'll turn tomorrow to get the details set for his first HBO event and then go from there.
I remember last year the storyline was that Showtime, it was, as Jay-Z would say, the takeover. You guys were going to get run out of the business. I think things have changed in 2014. Talk about the transformation or the adjustment period, if you will, from, let's say, the time you made the announcement that Golden Boy would not be on your network to this day.
Yeah. Well, I think we've done a great job of establishing new stars in Gennady Golovkin and Sergey Kovalev and Terence Crawford. My team has a great eye for boxing talent and fighters that will please the fans, and Ruslan Provodnikov and Brandon Rios and Mike, the list goes on and on. So we've had no shortage of talent, no shortage of big events with Manny Pacquiao, and that's going to continue. No shortage of big events with Miguel Cotto, and that's going to continue. So when you think we have now Canelo Alvarez and Manny Pacquiao and Miguel Cotto and Terence Crawford and, Ruslan Provodnikov and, Gennady Golovkin and Sergey Kovalev and Bernard Hopkins. We feel very fortunate, but it's not by accident. There's a plan. There's always been a plan. We look long-term in this business. We know that things can shift. You can't overreact to positive or negative news, and that's what we've tried to do, just maintain a steady pace.
Ken, will you still work to make sure that there's still the ongoing Cold War? We still have shifting allegiances, and certain fights, quite frankly, are non-starters. In your role, as influential as you are, what can you do to stem that tide?
I think just continue, as I said, to talk to everybody in the business and see where we can find common ground. You're not going to fix every problem, and you're not going to force marriages that just don't make sense. But I think what's happening and what you're seeing is you know, there's a recognition that the big fights, the competitive fights, work as, you know, for the entirety of everybody involved, including the fighters, win or lose. And that's the biggest thing we always have to overcome, which is you can't be afraid of a loss. It doesn't, you know, necessarily damage your brand at all. In fact, you know, Canelo has suffered a loss, so what? You know, he's as big today or bigger after that. So, you know, that's what we're going to instill, and we're going to work with everyone and continue to push for the most competitive fights we can find.
Well, Ken, I think the wrap-up here is the Empire Strikes Back, or the words of Mark Twain. The rumors of your death were greatly exaggerated. Congratulations, Ken, and thank you for the time. This is Steve Kim for UCN.